Is Chase Young on the trading block? And if that's the case, should Howie Roseman call up the Washington Commanders? Also coming up on today's show, Lane Johnson speaks about the length of his contract and how much gas he has left in the tank. And I'm going to explain a mind-blowing Jalen Hurts statistic, which is absolutely crazy, and it makes him an elite quarterback in the National Football League. Before we dive into all of this on today's show, if you think the Eagles can win the NFC East again, and finally there will be a repeat winner in this division, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and with that, let's talk some birds. I'm Chase Sr. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, as always, we appreciate you for watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. And we appreciate GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring today's show. They sent me a new pair of blue light glasses. You can get this pair of blue light glasses as well. Exclusive promo link is available in the description of this video. And we'll tell you more about GlassesUSA.com coming up here in just a little while. Let's begin here with Chase Young. This is obviously big news pertaining to the Philadelphia Eagles because the Commanders are a division foe, and we know that Howie Roseman loves to build his teams inside out, starting on the trenches, then going out to the peripheries, right? And he loves stacking up defensive linemen. And according to Albert Breer, NFL insider for Sports Illustrated, the Commanders could be open to trading Chase Young. You think about this, right? And it might come as a surprise, but it doesn't if you follow the paper trail of what's transpired with Young over the last couple of years and what has happened this offseason. Washington declined his fifth-year option, so Young is entering the final year of his deal. With how he started his NFL career, it's pretty surprising that we're at this point because as a rookie coming out of Ohio State and what he did with the Buckeyes, he was a stud. Looked to be one of the better young edge rushers in the sport. I think he can become that, but injuries have certainly held him back. He's only played in 12 games over the last 2 years because of that torn ACL that he suffered in 2021, and the Commanders have already committed to paying other defensive linemen on this roster. Deron Payne got a deal. He's one of the highest paid defensive tackles in the sport. Jonathan Allen got paid. Montez Sweat due for a payday as well. Some financial resources could be used there as well. Word is that only after playing 3 games last year in 2022, because of that ACL tear the year prior, Chase Young is blowing people away. He looks great this offseason. Finally looks to be 100%. And that recovery did take a little while for him. And this is what Albert Breer had to say about his status moving forward with Washington. As we know, that team is always a dumpster fire, so it's fun to pick on them. Teams coming out of the spring, thinking they need more help, may make trade calls on Chase Young. It seems unlikely the Washington Brass would move him ahead of a must-win year, but I know, keyword there, no, they'd be open to listening. And there's a pretty surprising number of accomplished pass rushers still on the market. Now, we're talking about Chase Young on today's show because Chase Young and his availability impacts the Eagles for a couple of reasons. If they trade for him, obviously, they bring in a supremely talented young player. Number 2, he plays in the NFC East, and he can change and alter games against Philadelphia. And if he's no longer playing in the NFC East, they no longer have to game plan against him. I will tell you this. I think it's highly unlikely that the Eagles do trade for Chase Young. We'll see if another team does call Washington about him. But whenever the Eagles make a move, you know who talks about it? Your boy right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. That's why you got to subscribe to the show. We're inching closer and closer to 50,000 subscribers, so make sure you lock us in and subscribe for year-round and daily coverage of the Eagles, EAGLES. Chase Young's career so far. I talked briefly about what he did in his rookie year. Coming out of Ohio State, everybody thought he was going to be one of the best players in that draft class in 2020, and he lived up to the billing in year 1. 15 games played, 8 sacks. In 2021, got off to a slow start, and then his season ended prematurely after only 9 games because of that ACL injury, and the rehab was said to be arduous. It was a pretty severe knee injury for him, unfortunately. He comes back at the end of last year, only plays in 3 games, lacks some of that burst, lacks some of that athleticism, tallied no sacks. But what he did at Ohio State in 2018 was truly special. And us as football fans, we were really robbed of seeing one of the best college edge rushing duos in the history of college football. Why is that? Because Nick Bosa got hurt after only 3 games. He went down with this core muscle injury. Can you imagine what life would have been like in the Big Ten for a bunch of opposing offenses going up against Bosa on one side and Chase Young on the other? Bosa's ended up having a great career. 15.5 sacks 2 years ago, 18.5 last year, Defensive Player of the Year, 4 sacks in those 3 games back in 2018. But look at these stupid and stupendous numbers from Chase Young in 2018. 16.5 sacks, 21 tackles for loss, 7 forced fumbles, 32 solo tackles in only 12 games. The dude was a dog. It's interesting, too, Chase Young's availability, I'm sure, has caught the attention of Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman loves building up the trenches, whether it's the defensive line or the offensive line. And I have a couple of rules about how you build your football team. You want to protect the quarterback. You want to get after and pressure the quarterback and hit him. You also want to find your quarterback. Those are the 3 critical elements, and then you worry about everything else after that. And Howie Roseman had said that himself. We love our defensive linemen, we love our offensive linemen, and defensively, we then shift our focus to cornerbacks in a pass-happy era. And Chase Young plays one of the preeminent positions that Howie Roseman really does value. And here's where it gets interesting, where the Eagles could potentially trade for him, even though it's in the division. These 2 teams have done business on a trade before. Philadelphia traded Donovan McNabb to Washington way back in the day. The Eagles have a lot of draft capital at their disposal in 2024. First-round pick, 2 second-round picks, a third-round pick, 4 fifth-round picks, and 2 sixth-round picks. Is that enough to convince Washington to trade Chase Young? Something to keep an eye out for. I think it's unlikely, but either way, whether he's on that team or not, the news of him being available and a potential trade of him, whether it's to the Eagles or not, is impactful for Philadelphia. So should Howie call about Chase Young? I want to hear from everybody down in the comment section right now. Embrace debate. C for call him, G for ghost him. Don't even talk to Washington. Let me know. And if you want to interact with me on Twitter and Instagram, a lot of you have given me a follow over the last couple of days, and please don't be a stranger. Slide in my DMs, say what's up. I'll send you a message back. A couple of you have done that over the last couple of days. It's been great to chop it up with you. Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. Coming up next on the show, Lane Johnson speaks and a mind-blowing Jalen Hurts statistic that we have to talk about. But first, a word from our sponsor, GlassesUSA.com. So I have a question for all you Eagles fans out there, and let me know down in the comments section, how do you think I look with my new glasses here? Well, GlassesUSA.com has hooked me up with a pair of Revel Sidestep blue light glasses to help me in front of my computer screen all day long. Using blue light glasses during screen time helps reduce eye strain, decrease headaches, improve your sleep, and increase productivity. If you didn't already know, GlassesUSA.com is one of the biggest eyewear retailers in the United States, offering thousands of eyeglasses and sunglasses such as Ray-Ban, Gucci, Oakley, and many more. And what's best about GlassesUSA.com is that glasses start at only $39, which are up to 70% off retail prices. So if you love these frames, there is a crazy exclusive offer waiting for all of my followers by clicking the links right in the description box down below. They've also got a super helpful AR virtual try-on tool to help find your right frames. Also, shopping online at GlassesUSA.com is a risk-free shopping experience with free shipping and returns and 100% money-back guarantee within 14 days. If you want some sunglasses as well, because it's starting to heat up outside, summer is coming up right around the corner, well, check it out. I also got these Rebel Slater sunglasses from GlassesUSA.com to add to my wardrobe and help my eyes when the sun is out. Get the exclusive discount only available to Eagles Now viewers by clicking on the links in the comments and description box. It's only available for 24 hours. Once again, thank you to GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring today's show. We'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. All right, now let's talk a little bit about Lane Johnson, and then we'll round out today's show with that mind-blowing Jalen Hurts statistic. As I'm starting to do some prep here for the 2023 season. I understand it's only June, right? But I cannot wait for some Eagles football. Lane Johnson speaking with NBC Sports Philadelphia and had a couple of interesting things to say. As we know, this offseason, Lane Train signed that extension all the way through 2026. I thought it was good for him to get compensated as one of the highest paid tackles in the game once again, because he's probably the best right tackle in the game, and he is on the precipice of potentially becoming a Hall of Famer in what has been an illustrious career. Now, there was some controversy there a couple of years ago because of the PED suspension, which certainly clouded things up a little bit for Lane Johnson, but my goodness, after that, he's continued to play at an insane level. He said, hopefully, this is his last contract. When it does end, he will be 37 years old. Against the Dallas Cowboys last year, he did suffer that core muscle injury, missed the last couple of games in the regular season, then was able to come back for the playoffs. And in classic Lane Johnson fashion, against Nick Bosa, who, as I said earlier, won Defensive Player of the Year this past year with 18.5 sacks, Lane Johnson was able to pitch a shutout with a core muscle injury. And then against the Kansas City Chiefs, he still played well. He is an Iron Man. He is tough as nails. He is a bring your lunch pail to work type of player, and he really does epitomize what it's like to be a Philadelphia Eagle. Here's what Lane Johnson had to say on his rehab. He's been cleared for a little while, as he said. I've been cleared for a little bit now. First couple of weeks were rough. After that, it's one of those rehabs where you have to progress pretty fast because they didn't want you to heal up stiff. I feel like this was a lot easier than the ankle rehab I had a few years ago. Feeling good, moving good, happy about where I'm at. And most importantly, he said that he thinks that he can still play at a really high level for the next couple of years. And I agree. I think Lane Johnson can play at a high level for the last couple of years of his career. But he also said, look, 37 years old, when it wraps up my new contract, hopefully this will be my last contract. But he also said, look, Jason Peters is still playing in his early 40s. And when he was aging, he was still playing at an elite level, so you really never know. I also talked to Jay Glazer from the Super Bowl when we were out there for Arizona for our coverage. I appreciate everybody who tuned into it. And he's homies, good friends with Lane Johnson. They do a lot of MMA work and have done that in previous off seasons. I asked him, I said, Lane Johnson, there's been some chatter about him potentially retiring soon. He said, Lane Johnson is not retiring soon. I think the injuries have exhausted him to a certain degree, but he's realized that he is still playing at a premium level. Lane Johnson ain't calling it quits. And then a couple of months later, we saw Lane Johnson sign that contract extension. What he did in 2022, given his age, really, really impressive. And this is why I think he's the best right tackle in the game right now. Total snaps, 972. Pass blocking snaps, 551. Penalties, only 6. But here's where it gets juicy, ladies and gentlemen. 0 sacks allowed, 0 hits allowed, and only 9 total pressures. Spam Lane down in the comments section to show him some love because he's already become one of the most legendary Philadelphia Eagles of all time. And I've continued to say this about some of these Eagles offensive linemen. When you think about Jalen Hurts, he has that dual threat element to his game. He can run it, he can throw it, and he extends plays out of the pocket. So the fact that Lane Johnson and some of these other offensive linemen don't give up many sacks when Jalen Hurts is mobile and extending plays in the pocket is even more impressive. So Lane Johnson, special player. Let's round out the show with Jalen Hurts. We talked about him yesterday on the show and how Nicholas Morrow has been really impressed as a new teammate of Jalen Hurts about how he's able to diagnose things and get rid of the ball very, very quickly. These Jalen Hurts numbers will absolutely blow your mind, and it's a big reason why he's one of the most elite quarterbacks in the National Football League. He threw the ball in 2022 460 times. He ran the ball 165 times. That is a total of 625 touches in the regular season for Jalen Hurts. Yet, he only had a total of 8 turnovers. Jalen Hurts' ball security and his quality decision-making are two components which make him really, really special in this league. I think he's only going to continue to get better. I think he's only going to continue to grow his arsenal. And I think even bigger things are ahead for him in year 4 as he continues to get more acclimated in the National Football League with more experience under his belt, playing on a team with some really, really elite players. And you look at Jalen Hurts' numbers from last year. It really is wild how impactful he was. And once again, you go back to how few times he put the ball in harm's way. This is why this guy really is special, and he's only 24 years old. Passing the ball, 306 out of 460, completed nearly 67% of his passes for more than 3,700 yards. He made monumental steps through the air with 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Yards per attempt, 8 even. And then running the football, 165 carries, 760 yards. He averaged nearly 51 rushing yards per game, ran for 33 more touchdowns. So right there, that's 35 touchdowns to just 8 total turnovers, and his yards per carry at 4.6. Why can't Jalen Hurts get better? Why isn't there room for him to continue to develop and grow? When he's throwing to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, with this offensive line, a loaded backfield, and a really good coaching staff. I'm so excited to continue to see the ascent from Jalen Hurts. He is him, and I can't wait to see Himothy continue to ball out for the Philadelphia Eagles. Give me those ones down in the chat. Just because Jalen Hurts is him, and that contract, I think, is a steal for Philadelphia. And before we hop on out of here, GlassesUSA.com. Our sponsor for today's show. The blue light glasses, awesome. The sunnies, as my Australian cousins like to say, they are also fantastic because I'm able to wear these when it gets sunny out. And you look fly in the process too. Go Birds, E-A-G-L-E-S. Peace.